Welcome once again to the fourth session of this workshop. And as I mentioned earlier, that this session would be mainly on Python basics, Python foundations. So as I mentioned earlier, those people who are already proficient with Python or they are comfortable with Python may skip this session, because this is for those people who are from electronics background or from different background and who have not done any programming language earlier, or they are not comfortable with Python. Okay, may I ask a question? Why Ms. Manjula Joseph, KVSN Rama Rao, and S. Vijay have given numbers in front, or Dr. Sayyed or Dr. T. Sanjana? Sajan. Why are there numbers in the front? 5100, 5159, 6276. Why is it so? Can anyone please let me know why there are numbers in front of the names?
Actually, it's an institutional employee ID, ma'am.
It's an institutional number and you have to write it there?
Actually, default institute has provided the accounts for all the faculty. So default it will be like.
Okay, and which institute did this? KL University?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So I hope you people are understanding the things and whatever we discussed in the previous sessions is clear. Okay, so let's start with the very basics of Python, the hands-on. I have already told you that please do it along with me. Share the screen. You just have to write collab and you go to the first result. And you click on new node. Collab is actually a cloud which is given by Google, and it is giving you some space on which you can execute your programs. So it is basically a platform as a service. It is providing you a platform on the cloud. You are getting a platform as a service, and you can also call it as a software as a service because it provides many softwares which you can use on this platform. And it is giving you a fixed amount of memory which you can use for the uploading of the documents. Okay. It is giving you enough space in which you can save your database dataset and upload your dataset and then perform machine learning algorithms onto that dataset. So it is giving you a good amount of memory which you can use for the storage of the dataset and execution of the machine learning algorithms, which is generally not available in your own system because machine learning algorithms require a huge amount of memory. Just a second. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. So this is basically a cloud which is given by Google on which you can execute your programs, and this is where your file name would be saved. You can change the name of the file. You can say Python _ basics QIP STC like this. And where will it be stored? It will be stored on your Google Drive. So I just go into Gmail. You have to actually give your Gmail credentials. So once you give your Gmail credentials, it will be stored at that place. So I'll go to Google Drive. And on Google Drive, if you see, there is something known as collab notebooks. You click on collab notebooks and then you will find the file that you have just created. Okay? Python basics, QIP STC was the name of the file. Here it is. Okay, so because I have taken as last modified, so it is taking all the files and then it is giving you the result. Okay, so Python is a normal object-oriented language. It's an object-oriented language with all the principles of object-oriented programming, like information hiding, encapsulation, or inheritance, etc., etc. But it's not a pure object-oriented language because you can write a program without even declaring a class. As Java is a pure object-oriented language because you cannot do anything apart from writing a class. But in Python, you can execute the programs even if you have not written a class. And in this case, it's very simple to initialize any data member. And as soon as you initialize this, if you try to print the type of A, it will say it is a integer. So the type of the variable is actually equal to the constant that you are putting into that variable. So the type of the variable would be the same as the value which is given to that variable. If you give an integer, the variable would be of integer type. If you give a string, the variable would be of string type. A also, and you can execute the code by just clicking on this play button. As you click on this play button, then all the lines will be executed. Once you do it for the first time, it will take some time because the first time it will take some time because a connection has to establish between the cloud and your own system. But this is how it works. Now suppose if I say 10.34, so then it would be float. And if I say A is equal to integer, so it will say it is string type. And the last but not the least is Boolean. So here it will say it is Boolean type. Like this. So just let me know on the chat box if you are able to log into the collab and you have done it till here. I've just copy pasted the code here. Please let me know if you are with me till here. And also do fill the feedback form if you have not done it. If you have not done it as yet, please do it. If you have already done it, no matter, no problem, don't do it again. If you have already done it, don't do it again. But if you haven't done it, please fill the attendance and the feedback form. Because I can see only 40 entries in this, and there are somewhere around 75 participants were there at one point of time. Even right now, also I have some 50 participants, and but 50 participants, 52, and but only there are 44 entries in this Google form. So probably there are many people who have not filled in. Please fill this Google form. Again, I'm repeating, please fill this Google form. It's very much required for your attendance. If you don't fill this, then your attendance is not recorded and you will not get the certificate. I'm again repeating, please fill the Google form. If you don't fill it, the attendance is not recorded and you won't get the certificate. Okay, so if you are till here, then let me know.
How to get a new for writing, ma'am? It automatically comes?
No, it comes from this plus code.
Okay, ma'am.
plus 4.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
For any programming language, actually you need the data types, decision making, loops, and functions. So data types we have already done. This is integer, float, string, and boolean. Next we move on to decision making. This is the way how you give the comments, by giving a hash. Decision making is if then else. So I simply take a value and say if a is greater than 5, and this is the colon that we give. If we give a colon, that means you have started a block of code. And a is bigger than 5, and else print a is smaller than 5. I can write some other things also like this. So can you please tell me the output of this program? What is the output of this program?
Triple IT, ma'am. A is bigger than 5. So triple IT.
Yes, triple IT will also be printed. That is why I discussed it. Because triple IT is also inside the same block of code. That is what I wanted to show you, that triple IT will also be printed. If suppose I write one more statement, then that will also be printed. So all the 3 statements will be printed. Oh, it has to be within the codes.
IT is not defined there.
Yeah, it was not within the codes actually. It was searching for a variable named as triple IT. If I don't write this, then it is not a constant. It is not a constant, so it will wait for a variable. So I can do it like this also. Triple IT is equal to triple IT. Now it will not give you any error. Got it? So it was actually searching for a variable named as triple IT. Taking the input is easy. I can simply say A is equal to input, and I can give a message here, whichever message I want to give. Please enter the number, and I'll say print A. I'll execute it by pressing the play button like this. But if I simply say what is the type of A,
Yes, sir.
if you print the type of A, it will say it is a string. Because whenever you are taking a value from the user, it is always string type. Whenever you are taking a value from the user, it is always string type. How can you modify this? I can modify this by typecasting. I can simply say int. So now if I execute this and I'll say print, it will say it is an integer. Write a program to take this value from the user. If the salary is greater than 1 lakh, print you earn good else print. Please mute your mics. Please mute your mics. Write a program. I have already mentioned it on the chat box. Nutan ma'am, give the complete program. Give the complete program. I'm giving you 2 minutes of time to try it out. Perfect. Perfect, Sai Krishna sir. Okay, Durga Devi ma'am. So I'll just copy paste Durga Devi ma'am's code here. Good. If suppose you want to have more than else statements, I can simply write here L if, and then I can give the if statement there. L if sal is greater than or less than 1 lakh and sal is greater than 50,000, and I'll say print it's good. Else I'll say print work hard, like this. So if I say 55,000, it's good. And if I give a number which is more than 1 lakh, it will say you earn good. And if I give the salary small, it will say work hard, like this. So elif gives you a series of else statements. In rest of the languages also there is else if some sort of a thing. Okay, so we are done with the data types and the decision making. Next we go for the loops. The most powerful loop that exists in Python is for loop. So I'll simply say for I in range 100. This is very much similar to for I is equal to 0, I is less than 100, I plus plus. This is something like this that you have been doing in C, C++, and Java. For I in range 100, 100 means starting number is 0 till 100 and 100 is excluded. You can also write it like this. So let's make it 10. And I. So it will print all the values from 0 to 9. Zero to 9. If I start with 1, so it will print all the values from 1 to 9. And if I have to print 10, I can simply say 11. So it will print from 1 to 10. Yes, steps can also be added by just writing here. So it will print 1, 3, 5, 7 like that. I've given you a code. Try implementing this code. And also you write one more program, write a program to take number. So if I have to print, for example, I'll say 2 into 3 is equal to 6 is equal to 6. 2 into 12 is equal to 20. So you have to print the table from 3 to 12. If the number is 2, then you print 2 3s are 6, 2 4s are 8, 2 5s are 10, 2 12s are 24. Do these two programs. Yes, the man, this is absolutely correct. This is the way how the first program would be done. So it will print the number 6 times. Even if you don't write 0 here, it would be fine. Because 0 is by default. Sai Krishna Santosh, you have to take the number from the user. And what about the table program? You take a number from the user and print its table. For I in range 3 to 13, print This is the program. So it will print the table from 3 to 12.
Google Colab is continuously running. How can I stop now?
Pardon?
Program is continuously running and it is, how can I stop?
You have to close the program. You have to close the window.
Close the window, ma'am.
You must have
Press
F and
Control,
close.
press Control MI. Press Control MI.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. Sai Krishna Santosh sir, I have to print the table from 3 to 12. And you don't have to write the step as one, it is by default. The step is by default 1. Okay, so now the next thing that we will do is functions. I told you that there are 4 main important things that are done in any language: data types, decision making, groups, and functions. So now we see the functions. Functions are defined with respect to EEF. Why do we write functions? Functions are done for repetitive tasks. Repetitive tasks or for modular programming. If I want to convert entire program into a number of functions, I can do that, number of modules. Okay, so functions are defined simply by DEF, name of the function. And I may pass the parameters also. Now, parameter passing is very easy in Python. You don't have to write int or something, because whatever be the value of the parameter, the type of the parameter will become that only. As we have seen it in the data type also. Once you say a is equal to 10, a will automatically become integer. If you say a is equal to 10.2, a will automatically become a float. So you don't have to mention the data type. The data type would be taken the one the value is stored. So I'll simply say fun print. Simply, I have defined this function and then I can call the function. How do I call the function? By simply saying this. So print triple IT would be printed. Now I can convert the previous program of taking the number and printing it. So I just save this. I can simply say table and the number is passed like this. Or I in range like this. Okay. I define the function here and then I can simply say table 20. 20 is table is printed, or I can say table 4. 4's table would be printed. Like this. So I can define functions which are used for repetitive works with different parameters, with different values, or I can do it for functional modular program.
Ma'am, show the table program on it, ma'am.
Pardon?
Table program. Section of table.
I've copy pasted the code on the chat box. Okay, so these are the core Python constructs, the decision making, the loops, the functions. The next that we do in Python are the four main data structures of Python, which are list, tuples, dictionary, and sets. So lists are mutable, ordered, duplicates are allowed. Tuples are immutable, ordered, duplicates are allowed. Sets are mutable, unordered, and duplicates are not allowed. And dictionaries are key value sets. This are defined with the help of square brackets. These are defined with the help of round brackets. This with the curly brackets, and these with the curly brackets. This is very important to differentiate between four types of data structures which exist with Python, and all of them have their own qualities. List has its own quality, tuple has its own quality, sets is absolutely different, and dictionaries are also different. So depending upon the application, depending upon the usage, depending upon the requirements, you can have list, tuple, sets, or dictionaries. So for example, if I simply say L is equal to square brackets, this would be a list. A list is defined. And now if I say print of L, it will say it is a list, because it is done with the help of square brackets. Similarly, if I go ahead and say it will say it is a empty tuple. I'll simply give some values there, and these are all heterogeneous types. I can have integers, floats, strings, Boolean, like this. Okay, so it will print all the values of list. So these are the different collection types: list, tuples, and dictionaries. And these are the different functions that you can perform on lists. You can do append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, insert, etc., etc. So suppose if I want to add an element to the list, I can simply say l.append, and it will be appended at the last. And then I print the list. 483 would be at the last. Here it is. Please let me know once you have done till here. I hope I'm not going in a very speedy manner and you are able to do it along with me. Please let me know if you have done till here.
Will you show me the methods, ma'am?
Most of the faculty.
Please mute your mics. Please mute your mics. Okay, I was on mute. So lists are like this. You can do a lot of things with the list, and the most important thing that we can do with list is referencing. We'll do it again with NumPy library when we will be discussing, but I can do the slicing and indexing here very easily. Suppose fourth, I want the fourth element, so the fourth element would be produced. And if I want a slicing, I want the second to sixth. So in this case, the elements would be from second to sixth, excluding six. So 0, 1, let me annotate. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So when I say 2 to 6, so these 4 would be printed. So it will start from 2422 till 2.4, 2.243. 2.243. This all would be printed. 6 will not be printed. Okay. So let's see what is the answer. 226, 24222, 2.243. This is known as slicing. So we can give the slicing and take some of the elements from the data set. This is very useful when you are actually doing it in the data frame and calculating the different values of the different data sets. Next, we come to tuples. Tuples are also heterogeneous. And I can print the tuple like this. I can do the indexing in the same way as we did with lists. It will print the first element. This will print the elements from 2 to 6. So let's do it here. 2 to 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will print from 32 to 1.35. Okay. And I can also print the last element, -1. This will print the last element. Similarly, I can print the last element in the list also, or I can print the second last element in the list also, like this. See, the second last element was -22, or was 22. Can you write a code?
Madam, I have one doubt.
Just a second. Last 3 elements. Yeah, please go ahead.
Now, what is the difference between tuple and the list?
Yeah, I'll come to that. Write the code to print the last 3 elements. Those who have not filled the Google form, please fill that Google form. That's compulsory for you to get the certificate. And today by evening, I will give you the registration number also, which would be required for the further attendance. You just give your registration number and your attendance would be recorded.
We'll show the tuple program one more time, ma'am.
Come again, what you were saying?
Tuple numbers, that little up, ma'am. Go little up. Tuple you have taken.
This one?
Yeah, okay. T is equal to entity, working, T of 0, T of 2 is to
I've copy pasted the code. Okay, so I have not received the answer for the question which I asked. Code to print the last 3 elements. Code to print the last 3 elements.
Madam, -1 to last 3 numbers.
How will you get that? That's what I'm asking. How to print the last 3 elements?
No, actually, -1. Actually, the last number starts with -1, minus number, minus whatever it. If suppose there are 3 numbers, 1, 2, 3, we have to start with the minus number, -1.
Like this, you are saying?
No, ma'am, no. Say for example, 32, 232, 36457, 1, 350, ma'am, in your answer. From 2:6. I want to print the last one means -1, 0, 1, 2. So -1, 0, -1, 0.
No, we have not got the question. I want to print the last three elements. I want to print these three elements of the tuple and
-1,
these
-2,
three
-3.
elements of the list.
Yeah, -1 is 2, -3, ma'am.
That's what I said. Do you want to do it like this? L -1,
No, it is like range only,
comma,
ma'am. It is like range only, ma'am. No, ma'am. It's like range.
How to print that?
Okay, ma'am. I'll check it and then tell you, ma'am.
Yes. Many people have already given the answer. Yes, Anubhav Kumar sir. It will be printed like this only, -3 to the last. So the last three elements will be printed in the list. And similarly, we can have it in the tuple also. -3 to last. If you don't mention it the last one, so it will print all the elements till the last. If I want to print the last 4 elements, I can simply say like this. Got the answer? Okay, so coming to the question which one of the ma'am asked, what is the difference between a list and the tuple? If you go back, I clearly mentioned lists are mutable and tuples are immutable. What is the meaning of this? Tuples are immutable means you cannot make any modifications in the tuples. Once the tuples are created, you cannot make any modifications. So if you remember, we did L dot append 82, and then if I print L, it will print 82 at the last. 82 will be appended to the list like this. But I cannot do anything like this with tuples because tuples cannot be appended. The tuples cannot be modified. Second, what I can do is I can modify an element of a list like this. I can modify the element of the list. So now the second element is a laptop. Okay, but I cannot do anything such sort in a tuple. That is not allowed. So I cannot do any modifications in the tuple. Tuple object that does not support item assignment, I cannot make any modifications. So Vinod Kumar Mishra said this is very clear. If you want to have any modifications, you go for list. If you don't want to have any modifications, if there is something like secured data set, then you go for tuples. If you don't want any modifications, go for tuples. If you want modifications, go for list. So you cannot modify anything in a tuple. Once the tuple has been created, you cannot make any changes to it. But in the list, you can. Okay. So list tuples, sets. Sets are something like this. And if I say print type of S, it will say it is a set. Okay, by default, it would be a dictionary. But if I give the values, suppose if I say laptop, mobile, mouse, pen stand, then it would be a set. Sadhana Mishra ma'am, that's what I mentioned. If you want to have something which cannot be modified, sometimes it happens you want to have the account numbers in the data frame, in the data set, or you want to have the balance in the data frame and you should not make any changes to it. Then you can make it a tuple. Okay, I don't want any accidental modification or I don't want any changes to be made in the values of the tuple. Then we go for a tuple. But if we foresee a change, if it may happen that I have to change some values, then I go for list. Is it clear now? Great. So sets are unordered. Unordered means this doesn't make any sense. This is unordered. Since it is unordered, you cannot have subscripts. If suppose I say I want to append, then also it is not allowed. I append a phone. It is not allowed because append always adds at the last. But if I write something as s.add, it will add it to the list. It will add it to the list. Since it adds to the list, it is mutable. Vinod Kumar Mishra, it is mutable. Sachin, I was coming to that question. Can we change tuple to list? We can make any modifications from one data type to another by typecasting it. So like I can say list. Okay. So this is the way how we can modify a tuple. You first convert it to a list. Then you append something to it. And then you again modify it to a tuple. T is equal to tuple L1. And then you print. Here also you print. So if you first print T, phone will not be appended, but afterwards the phone would be appended. See, this is without append, and this is after converting to a list, appending it, and then again converting it to a tuple. So again, if you check the print, the type of T, it will say it is a tuple because I have again typecasted it to be a tuple. I'm just copy pasting it so that you can try it out. Try it out. Okay. So sets are used in those applications in which you don't want any ordering and which you want to have some modifications. And it is unordered. I don't want any order. The sets are basically analogous to the sets in maths. So you have lots of operations that you can perform on sets. Huge set of operations. See here. Intersection, discard, difference, copy, clear, remove, union. So union, intersection, intersection, update, etc., etc. So all those operations which you can perform on mathematical sets can be performed on sets because they are unordered. Since they are unordered, so they have that flexibility of doing the different types of modifications without considering the order. Okay, So lists are used a lot, sets are used a lot where you don't want any order and you want some modifications. Duplicates are also not allowed. Like suppose if I say L dot append, I had appended a phone there, remember? If suppose I append the phone again and then I print L, it will say phone twice. Phone, okay, and I append it again. So again the phone would be appended twice. If I again execute it, it will have thrice. So it has taken phone 3 times. But if I try to add phone to the set and print S, it will do it only once. See? How many number of times you add, it will be only done once. Okay, but in the case of list, if you keep on adding to it, it will keep on adding phone to it. If you append, so phone would be added. So duplicates are allowed, but in the case of sets, duplicates are not allowed. So it is quite important in such cases in which you don't want any duplicate values. Suppose you are going for a primary key. So primary key cannot be duplicated. So you can very well make the primary key as a set. Okay. And the next we have dictionaries. Dictionaries are actually typical type of a data structure which go for a key value pair. So I say I give a key. The key is name. I give the value Pooja. Then the key is gender. I give the value as female. Then the key is organization and the value is triple IT. Next, the key is city and the value is like this. And then I can go ahead and print D. And there are various ways which I can print. I can print only the keys. I can print only the values. So it will print only the values, that is Pooja, female, triple. Or I can also print all the items. Similarly, I can perform different types of operations on dictionaries also. As you have another set of operations for sets, you have another set of operations for dictionaries. Dictionaries are mutable. You can make modifications in the dictionaries and you can add the values to the dictionaries. All that can be done. Only tuples are immutable. The rest of the data structures are mutable. So I'm giving you a program, write a program to print all the values, program to check, take name from the user and check if it's present in the set. Similarly, you can have the same program to check whether it is present in the list or not. Write the code for this. So let's first define a list with a lot of names. And then you take a name from the user and check whether it is present in the list or not. Try doing it. I'm giving you 3 minutes of time to try it out. Durga Devi, ma'am, I think you already know Python, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
I want an answer from someone who is doing it for the first time today.
Okay, ma'am. I will not post the code.
नहीं, it's not like that. नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं कहा मैंने. I was just trying to say that others,
Okay,
I want the answer now from
let
someone who
others
has
try,
not
ma'am.
done it.
Others try.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not like that. You can definitely post the answer, no problem.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So there are 2 ways of doing this. Durga Devi ma'am has given a very shortcut method. And in fact, that is the standard method of it. But if you are doing it for the first time, then you can also say that if you can simply say for I in L1. So this will actually go through all the items which are present in L1. Okay, na? If simply you say name input, please enter a name, okay, and then you simply say for I in L1 if I is equal to name print present. See, it says it is present. And now if I say some other name which is not present here, maybe Karuna, it won't say anything. You know? So I could have written here else print, but in this case what will happen is it will print for all the elements. मतलब Rahul अगर नहीं match हुआ तो it will say not present. Rahul के लिए no present. I don't want that. So if it is present, it will say present. Otherwise, it will not do anything. And the second way of doing it is as what Durga Devi ma'am has mentioned. So I'll simply say name is equal to input, and then you say print name in L1. So I'll say Pooja. So it says true. That Pooja is present. And if I say Karuna, it will say false. Karuna is not present. But this is a shortcut method of doing it, and this is actually you are going through all the members of the list. So you can perform different types of operations, like whether you want to check that it is present or not, or if you want to do some modifications. Like I can simply say if I is equal to this, and you can modify it also. You can modify it also saying that L1, and at that particular location you want to modify it. So that can also be done. You can find out, you can take out the index from here, and at that particular index you can replace it with something else. So replacement can also be done, or you can perform different types of operations if you're going through all the members of the list. Similarly, you can do it for the tuple also. Same thing can be done for a tuple also. So tuple has phone, so it says it is true. Similarly, you can do the same thing in the set also. Set. Phone, so it says it is true. And if I say puja, it will say false, because puja was not present in the set. And similarly, you can perform a lot of many operations on list, tuples, dictionaries, and sets as per the different types of operations that you can perform. As I have already mentioned, these are the things that you can perform on sets. Tuples, you can perform only two operations, count and index. You can find out the index of a particular element, or you can count the number of elements you have in the tuple. And for list, you can perform all these operations. And dictionary is generally used when you want to have a key value pair. Okay. So this is basically the very foundations of Python. We talked about list, tuples, dictionary sets, and the different core Python things, the data types, the loops, the decisions, etc., etc. In the next session, we'll talk about the three most important libraries which are used with Python: NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn. And I'll also show you in very short how you can take a data set from from Kaggle, and how you can build a model onto it. So we'll see that. Any further questions on this? Any questions?
Please share your recorded video because I missed one of the class.
Yes, I would share all the recordings, please.
Yeah, sure.
I hope everybody has entered the Google form. Okay, so if there are no further questions, we will start the next session at 3:15. Sorry, 3:45. Let's not wait till 3:45. We'll start at 3:30. We'll start at 3:30 and we'll wind up at 5. We'll meet next at 3:30.